Housing started in kind of a unique fashion. A house was donated to Holy Name, and the question was, what do we do with it? Well, a fellow by the name of John McGuire had this brilliant idea that let's fix it up and sell it. So he was joined by Mike Fitzgerald, like 20 or 30 other guys. They worked on it all summer, got it all fixed up, and at the end of the summer they sold it. Two redemptorists that we had at that time, Don Nyrider and Jerry Mullen, they took that idea and ran with it. Got in contact with Tom Pogge, an attorney, got things rolling, and 30 years ago, that's where it all started, right here at this house. The Holy Name parishioners to this day are very grateful, for the Holy Name Housing, and how it started and where it started.
We had done what we set out. We got the house, we repaired the house, we sold it for profit, we pulled the people together, and we're ready to move on to the next deal.
John's the fellow who started this. He's a promoter, a leader. He gets people together, he recruits. His leadership was able to get this done. Without him, it wouldn't have happened.
The big thing is it did something for the old people. It kept the young people activated and doing things for other people and feeling worthwhile. And it kept the parish happy because they knew they were not stagnant.
Jerry Mullen and I decided that it would be cool to try to replicate what the men's club did. We went and found Joe, John, and Eddie Vaughn, who were tuck pointing a building down in the old market. We used a lot of used materials, bought a few things, didn't have any money. I remember we got some shag carpet out of some house, cleaned it up, and because we didn't have a carpet stretcher, just put on our golf shoes and kind of kicked it into the corners and nailed it down. But at the end of that experience, we sold the house for, I still remember this, for $29,900, and just thought we were in second heaven. Actually made a few dollars. It was probably years before we ever made that much money on a house again, mostly because I didn't pay the Vaughns hardly anything.
The first experience we had was a visit from Father Don Nyrider to talk with us about his idea and what was going on in Holy Name Parish. We listened politely, and the first time they asked for a grant, it was declined. But they were persistent, and they came back another time about a year later, and we were at that time able to help them supply their housing center. What they were doing then was, it was a high unemployment time in the parish, and they were in the business of building some capital for what became Holy Name Housing Corporation.
Shortly after we started Holy Name Housing, we hired Sister Marilyn Ross, and we were at the time just working out of the rectory on 45th Street, and we gave Sister a spacious office in the basement that was the size of a cubbyhole and was actually used for storage. I'm not even sure if it had a window in it. What I remember about Sister Marilyn and working in the basement of the rectory was that she was absolutely willing to do anything. Did whatever it took to help us raise money, would go and help clean the house if it needed to be cleaned before we tried to sell it, acted as our real estate agent.
Well, I came to Holy Name Housing Corporation because I saw a bumper sticker that said, it's a good place for families to live, and that intrigued me. So I contacted the Father Don Nyrider, and he hired me and promptly put me in the basement of the rectory. And I warned him that revolutions come out of basements, but he didn't pay much attention. So my early years were spent in the basement writing grants, whatever grants I could find that would help this young but very committed organization live their mission. What's unique about Holy Name Housing Corporation is the people who started working there were from the neighborhood. They remembered the good old days when the neighborhood was stable, and they were so determined that it should be that way for other people.
Well, 30 years ago when Holy Name Housing was established, the economy wasn't the greatest. We had housing stock available in the neighborhood that needed refurbishing, and we had people that needed jobs. So we put those three together, and that was a great recipe for success for the homes. But then another opportunity came about, and that was the Leo Vaughn Manor. As the homes that Holy Name Housing was rebuilding, the residents of these homes really needed another place to go live. So at that time, the Leo Vaughn Manor property had come up, and that was refurbished by Holy Name Housing. And later years on that same property created cottages for more residents to live.
In 1984, after we'd helped them with their small housing materials workshop, they came back and asked for a low-interest mortgage loan pool because so many of the people who wanted to purchase homes in Holy Name were just a bit short of being able to qualify. And so the mortgage loan pool was approved in the amount of $500,000, but they had to match it dollar for dollar. And it is a tribute to them, their goals, mission, and their passion that we issued that challenge grant, and within several months it had been fully matched.
Several years ago, the Crown Project was established, and potential homeowners were allowed to move into a rented home just as these behind me. The unique part was part of the rent was be saved so that they could use that money to buy a home of their own later. One of the unique aspects of the Crown program is that it requires the potential homeowner to attend workshops on the budgeting process, also raising their credit scores, and the maintenance of the home that they will buy, because many of these people, of course, have never owned a home.
I am in the rental situation in hopes to 5 years down the line I'll be in the homeownership. That is the ultimate goal of Holy Name Housing, is homeownership. In the workshops, we've only had one so far. We have 2 a year that we have to go through, it's a part of the lease. And it was just really, really awesome. They very informative, give you information on every little bitty thing, to do a lot of stuff on your own without having to call repair people, or someone else, where you had to pay, and they show you how to, and then they get your concerns, what you're dealing with, any problems that you have, quick fixes, on everything, and it's just unbelievable.
We had some very dedicated volunteers like Tom Pogge, an attorney for QTech and Rock, and Jim Reeker from the Midwest Housing Equity Group, and Commercial Federal, and Dave Slattery, who kind of walked us through that process of doing a tax credit project. And it's a very successful project today.
So we issued the tax credits to the applying entity, which a lot of times was Holy Name Housing or some consultant that they were working with. As we created Midwest Housing Equity Group, we actually became a company that went out and looked for investors to buy the tax credits and sell those properties to that group of investors. So with Sister Marilyn's passion and great product that she put together, it was an easy sell to our investors. We never ever had an issue with any of her folks at all.
I think I've experienced in the time I've been at Holy Name Housing Corporation the emergence of some very, very fine community-based organizations with missions very similar to ours. We work together with these organizations as well as other nonprofits because we see no advantage to competing, but we see lots of advantages to sharing our strengths and resources.
We collaborated on the project together. Well, we actually wrote a grant to the state where we received funding to build 4 houses, and essentially what happened was OEDC actually did the writing and received the grant. But part of that collaboration, Holy Name was going to be the contractor, and they were going to actually build the houses. And Family Housing Advisory Services, because they do homeownership counseling and training and down payment and closing cost assistance and financing, would handle that part. And we have, in fact, about 2 months ago, just completed the construction of those houses. And it was a wonderful relationship and cooperation between us to get those done. And I think what that said to people in the community was that we can work together. We can find this common ground of how we can bring all our individual talents to the table and create something that's positive and moving forward.
When I first started with Holy Name, I was a little hesitant because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But Tom, John, Sister Marilyn, the whole crew were so open with every questions that I had, because I had a lot of questions. They were very, open. They sat me down, they answered everything that I needed to be answered. They just took me step by step, and that's what I needed, because I didn't want to get into something that I wouldn't be able to afford. This has been a big dream for me and my son ever since I got divorced. I kind of lost some independence. And with Holy Name, it just brought back a whole new life for me. I am in awe. Every day I come home and I'm just speechless. I'll stand in the doorway and just look around, and I can't believe that I've made it this far, but I have. And it's a very, very good feeling to know that you own something. I have an older sister and 2 younger brothers, and I am the first to own my own home. So it's a very, very big accomplishment for me.
There were a core group of these employees that came to Holy Name Housing Corporation that were committed and dedicated, who have truly stayed with us even when we couldn't pay their check, and worked with us to develop the capacity that we really needed to grow as a nonprofit. And I have a staff that really turns obstacles into challenges, and that's made all the difference in our history.
There's a saying in business that nothing happens till you sell something. Well, in this business, nothing happens till you build it. You have to build it first, then you can sell it. And that's what Holy Name Housing is based on. There's a lot of building, and these are the guys that do the building. And been around for not all their life, but most of their life with Holy Name Housing. We have Sean Vaughn, and Sean is kind of in charge of the maintenance for the rental houses, but also since he knows how to maintain these houses, it's kind of his job to teach the new owners on how to maintain their house. Right, Sean?
Correct. Simple things as changing the furnace filter. Not only will you get clean air out of it, it'll save you money from your furnace working hard. So when it gets plugged or dirty, you need to change it about once a month. Simple things like that.
Okay. Here, Gordy, what's kind of your role in this whole?
Basically, I watch the houses from the ground up to drywall stage, and all the trades, and kind of watch over that, and then turn it over to Pat when we do the finish.
Make sure everything's straight and square.
Try to, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing. That would be a real good thing. Pat Albright.
Yeah.
You're the finish man, I hear.
I'm the finish man.
You're not finished, though. You're just the finish man.
I'm never finished.
Good.
I pick up where Gordy leaves off.
Okay.
The countertops, the base, trim, just finish work, touch up paint.
Make it look pretty.
Make it look pretty.
Attaboy.
That's what
Good
it
for
is.
You.
Make
Good
it
for
look
you.
pretty.
Okay. Well, Joe Vaughn, you're kind of the chief of the new construction, and also I hear kind of the chief of the green building that takes place. And I'm serious about, do you have to be Irish to be a green builder?
No, you don't.
Okay, all right.
We decided about 6 years ago that we wanted to go green. And part of that was because we had already met all the requirements for Energy Star, which is a big part of that program. Presently, we have finished 77 houses that are entirely green. In your paperwork from Energy Star, they tell you what your estimated monthly utilities should be. And the total utility for most of our houses are right at about $100 a month now. So we feel like that puts some extra money in our tenants, our homeowners' pockets.
Great. Oh, don't let the utility company find out about this.
No, it's a secret.
It's a secret.
Sometimes cutting through the red tape was about as big a project as we could come across. And sometimes we were successful and other times we weren't. But one of the things that I did while I was mayor was that I involved a lot of people from the planning department and other departments as well to help step in and make suggestions. And so we had a pretty open government where it wasn't just the planning director and the public works director, but it was people who worked in positions below them that had been around the block a few times and really understood how to make things work. And so I would keep them in the flow when I was mayor because they believed also in what Holy Name was doing.
It's an amazing program for the area of the city that it's in, for what they were trying to accomplish, which is, my understanding, was stabilizing the community, and have done an amazing job of it. And that community has changed, no question about it.
Well, the mission continues. You know, it started in 1982, but look at it today. We're in 2012, 30 years later, and these are the kind of houses you see built near downtown Omaha, ready for occupancy, and what a proud owner would be to step into one of these houses. excited about celebrating 30 years of success for Holy Name Housing, but we're equally excited about the future of building a community one home at a time.